$35 billion. That was GameStop's peak market cap, more than the GDP of some small countries. Then it dropped 82%, nearly all of its peak value wiped out. But here's the twist, some people did get rich. One amateur investor turned 28,000 into 3.8 million. He won by every measure he succeeded. Yet that success is what makes this story unsettling. Picture this, you're staring at a screen. The number keeps climbing. You refresh, it's higher, you're a millionaire. But the clock is ticking. Most overnight millionaires, lottery winners, crypto traders, meme stock gamblers don't stay rich. They lose it all. So what really happens when you get rich in a single month? The answer is surprising. It's not about luck or skill. It's about what happens. You buy GameStop at $150. The next day it hits $380. Your portfolio doubles, then triples, then explodes. In a single week, the stock's market cap swells to $35 billion, more than the GDP of some small countries. This is the short squeeze. Amateur investors, trading from bedrooms and coffee shops, bet against hedge funds and won. One man, Rodriguez, turned $28,000 into $3.8 million at the peak. A 100-fold gain in days. The stock market had never seen anything like it. But the mechanics were fragile. The squeeze was a feedback loop. Short sellers forced to buy back shares, driving the price higher, pulling in more buyers. It worked until it didn't. Within a week, GameStop's value tumbled by 82%. Nearly all of that peak wealth wiped out. Some sold at the top and walked away millionaires, most did not. They held, believing the revolution would last. The stock crashed. The hedge funds, the very villains of the story. Bill Gross, a billionaire, bet against the meme and won. The overnight millionaires? Most became cautionary tales. But how many of them actually held onto their fortunes? A Reddit forum called Wall Street Bets declares war on Wall Street. The target, GameStop, a dying video game retailer. The weapon, call options. The result, a stock that traded at $150 the day before rockets to $380 in a single session. That's a 100-fold gain for anyone who bought at the bottom and sold at the peak. Some amateurs actually pulled it off. One trader, Rodriguez, watched his $28,000 investment swell to $3.8 million. He cashed out, bought a house, paid off debt. He was the exception. Most who rode the wave didn't sell. They held, believing the revolution would never end. But the squeeze doesn't last forever. GameStop's market cap hit $35 billion, more than the GDP of some small countries, then collapsed. Within a week, the stock lost nearly 90% of its value. The paper millionaires became paper losses. Those who locked in profits walked away with life-changing money. But they are rare. The real winners? Not the amateurs, not the true believers. The billionaires who bet against the hype, they saw the trap coming. Bill Gross, the bond king, shorted GameStop. He made a fortune while the crowd cheered. So who really profited from the revolution? The answer is uncomfortable. Subscribe to uncover the hidden rules of sudden wealth. While the crowd cheered GameStop's meteoric rise, a quieter group placed their bets on gravity. That's more than the GDP of some small countries. They didn't believe the hype. They believed in fundamentals. So they shorted the stock, betting it would fall. Billionaire investor Bill Gross was among them. He profited by betting against GameStop, watching the frenzy from a distance. But here's the twist. The short squeeze forced some of them to cover at a loss, yet the smartest money waited. They knew the party couldn't last. Therefore, when the stock peaked at $380, they didn't buy in, they doubled down on the short. And when the market cap dropped 82%, nearly all of its peak value wiped out, they cashed out. The retail investors who bought at the top, they held the bag. The amateurs who went all in learned a brutal lesson. The house always wins in the end. But the question remains, how fast did the party end? And who got left holding the bag? The peak was staggering. GameStop's market cap hit $35 billion, more than the GDP of some small countries. But that number was a mirage. Within a week, the stock lost nearly 90% of its value. 82% of the peak wiped out. Fortunes built on Reddit threads evaporated faster than they appeared. Take Rodriguez. He turned $28,000 into $3.8 million at the top. A 100-fold gain if you timed it perfectly. He didn't sell. He watched the number shrink day by day, convinced the rally would resume. It didn't. By the time he capitulated, he had lost nearly everything. The lesson: a paper fortune is not a real one. Yet while amateur investors learned the hard way, a different group profited. Billionaire Bill Gross bet against GameStop as the hype peaked. He saw the mania for what it was, a short squeeze, not a revolution. He cashed out while the crowd held. So the crash didn't destroy everyone, it just redistributed the wealth upward. The question that lingers: were there any winners who saw it coming? You watch the chart's pulse green. A single Bitcoin purchase at the right moment, $28,000, swells to $3.8 million in weeks. That was Rodriguez's reality. He bought in, watched the number climb, felt invincible. Crypto doesn't care about your story. It only cares about the next block. The market flipped. Altcoins that promised revolution became dust. One morning, his portfolio was a fortune. By evening, it was a lesson. Most overnight crypto millionaires never cashed out. They held, believing the line would keep rising. It didn't. The crash erased them. But here's the strange part. While retail investors lost everything, one man made more than $1 billion from crypto: Donald Trump. His NFT collection and token launches minted him a fortune while the crowd bled. How does that happen? How does one investor walk away with $1 billion while thousands watch their accounts evaporate? The answer isn't luck. It's timing, access, and knowing when the game ends. Rodriguez learned that most didn't. The question that pulls you forward: who's running the next game, and who's the mark? The real lesson isn't about the money. It's about the moment you realize the game was never designed for you to keep it. Most who struck it rich in a single month, GameStop, crypto, lottery, didn't stay rich. The wealth evaporated as fast as it appeared. But some walked away with something more durable, a hard-won understanding of how the system actually works. Take the amateur who bought at the peak, watched their account swell, then refused to sell. They held through the tumble, nearly 90% gone in a week. That loss taught them something no textbook could: the difference between a bet and an investment. Others, the ones who sold at the perfect moment, didn't just cash out, they stepped back. They saw the pattern repeat in crypto, in SPACs, in every hype cycle. The same faces on the other side of the trade: institutions, insiders, billionaires like Bill Gross, profiting from the frenzy they helped create. So the real question isn't whether you can get rich overnight. It's whether you can recognize the trap before it springs. The overnight millionaire who kept the money. They're the one who understood that the moment everyone wants in is the moment the smart money is already out. The lesson is cold, clear, and unsettling. The next wave is already forming. Is there a way to win without losing it all? So you hit the peak. Your screen glows green. $3.8 million from a $28,000 bet. The stock hit $380, up from $150 the day before. You feel invincible. You are the revolution. But the market doesn't care about revolutions. It cares about gravity. GameStop's value tumbled by nearly 90% over a week. That $35 billion peak, more than the GDP of some small countries. Then 82% of it vanished. Nearly all of it. The same people who cheered you on, they sold first. Billionaire Bill Gross bet against you and won. The amateur who bought at the top. He didn't just lose money, he lost the future he'd imagined. So what really happens to overnight millionaires? Most lose it all. The lucky few who sold at the perfect moment, maybe a 100-fold gain. They're the exception, not the rule. But even they learned something. This game doesn't reward loyalty. It rewards timing. The lesson is brutal but simple. When everyone tells you it's different this time, it's not. The same pattern repeats. Lottery winners, crypto kings, meme stock legends. A sudden fortune feels like proof of genius. But the house always has a longer memory, and the next con is already being sold to someone else, maybe to you. Stay curious. Money never sleeps.